Hi, everyone. I wanted to record my birth story. When I was expecting, I watched so many women sharing their stories on YouTube. We have a really long commute, and I literally would play them and just listen while I was driving. And I think that really helped me know what to expect the day of. My name is Jenna Lee. I'm 29 years old, and we had our beautiful baby girl back in February. So it's been 3 months. I'm headed back to work. So I figured now is the perfect time to share my story. So I had wanted a very natural birth. We had a few requests that we wanted to see be met and knew that going into it wanting a natural birth, I wanted a natural birth. We decided to go ahead and hire a doula. So she would be able to kind of coach us through. We'd never been through this before, but be able to help us with the whole birthing process, be able to help keep us calm, explain our options, and just make us feel a little more comfortable the day of. So I was a month early. My birth day is a month before I was supposed to be born. And supposedly you follow your birth. So whatever birth your mom had with you, generally speaking, supposedly you follow that birth. So I was a month early and my mom had like an hour and a half labor. So the whole last month of my pregnancy, we were on edge. We were looking out for every symptom and every sign of early birth. Our doula was like, super keen and on call to try and make sure I wasn't going to go early, or if I did go early, we were prepared. So a month came and went, the due date came and went, and we were wondering, that must all be a bunch of whatever. It's not going to happen. So I was ready for like a 3-4 day labor, the crazy stuff you hear about. So the week leading up to our birth, we tried everything, to try to stimulate labor. I was always pretty comfortable. I was never to a point where I was extremely uncomfortable when I was pregnant. I was still in the gym up until a few days before I gave birth. But it was, it was getting time, and they wanted to schedule a date for induction. So we wanted to make sure that we were doing everything in our possibility to make simultaneous labor occur, if you will. So that was one of our wishes. So the week before, I basically ate Thai food, Mexican food, and Indian food. Kept a very spicy diet. And the night before my due date, I had a prenatal massage, which I'm pretty sure kind of got some things going. So let's talk about the day. So the morning of Wednesday, February 28th, I woke up around 3 o'clock with a contraction. So I'd only had Braxton Hicks one time during my pregnancy, and it happened to be the only day I was ever away from Chad. But it was a day that I did not carry around a water bottle. So I'm pretty sure I was dehydrated, and that caused the Braxton Hicks. Stay hydrated. They're not great. But I knew that this was different. So I knew that this was, a contraction. So I felt one, and then I didn't feel another one for like I went back to sleep and didn't feel another one until about 45 minutes. So I kept kind of keeping an eye on the clock, and then they were 25 minutes apart, and that's when I woke Chad up. And I said, hey, I'm having contractions. It was probably like 5 a.m. I said, I'm having contractions. They're like 25 minutes apart. He's like, you know what? Just text the doula. Text Dawn. Hey, Dawn. So I texted Dawn and I said, just to let you know, keep you in the loop here. I am having contractions. They're about 25 minutes apart. She's like, oh, okay, no big deal. Just let us know when they get closer and more timely. So it was like go time after that. They went from 25 to 15 to 7 to 5 within about maybe an hour to an hour and a half. So now it's about 6 o'clock, and I am having contractions that are about 5 minutes apart, but they're only lasting like 30 seconds. So we were thinking this can't be real. The other thing that was happening is that I was going to the bathroom constantly. Like, I was convinced there couldn't be like anything left to go. It was just constantly in the bathroom, in the bathroom, in the bathroom. So they're 5 minutes apart. I'm going to the bathroom, and then I start bleeding. So I'm wiping, and there's like a decent amount of blood. Not just like, oh, spotting blood. Like, it was blood on the toilet paper. So Chad sees the blood. He's a medical professional. He says, we're going. That's it. Get in the car. We're leaving. So we go to get in the car, and all of a sudden it's like happening. Now they are about 3 minutes apart, and I am audibly really feeling the contractions, like making a lot of sounds, and I can't like hold it in anymore. Bending over was really kind of helping, or the stance that I would take. It was always kind of like either bending over a dresser. I remember being outside, like really having a big one, and kind of like resting my head on the car, being like, all right, this is it, we're going. So we get in the car, we drive up to Hartford. We have about an hour drive, and I labored hard on the way to the hospital. Really, really, really strong. So at one point, meanwhile, this guy cuts us off on the way. Like, I'll never forget this car. It was an SUV, and it had a big Yankees thing on the spare tire on the back. Oh my God, I wanted to kill this guy. Chad really wanted to kill this guy. But of course, I'm like, Chad, it's not worth it. Don't do it. My eyes are shut the whole way to the hospital. I'm in so much pain, I can't open them. But it wasn't crazy, crazy pain. Like, it hurt, don't get me wrong, but I like kept knowing it would get worse. So Chad has his hand on my leg to kind of like alleviate or add some of the pressure, to take away from the pressure in my pelvis. And he's pushing down, pushing down, pushing down. And he said by the time we got home, he was pushing so hard that his arm was shaking from me like contracting him, pushing, the whole nine. So I had one contraction on, I had many, but there was one in particular on the way to the hospital that I literally felt things move. Like, I felt my pelvis, and I essentially, I guess, felt the baby's head like coming down. Crazy. But anyway, my contractions going up to the hospital were about 2 minutes apart, and were still only lasting about 30 seconds. Then about halfway there, they started lasting a minute, then a minute and a half. So now they're 2 minutes apart, and they're lasting a minute and a half, which means that I only have 30 seconds of a break. Not great. A lot of pain, a lot of breathing. Again, never opened my eyes. I was able to stomach, when we first got into the car, like a half a banana. I'll get to the banana. Oh my God. It was all I could eat. Wasn't great. So we get up to the hospital, and I am in full-blown labor. It's happening like right now. So I am literally leaning up against this pillar out front. We're valeting, and Chad's like, we need a wheelchair. Like, you have to go get a wheelchair to the guy who we see all the time because he works there. So we are and it's at the time that we normally, I would go drop Chad off at about 7:30. We roll in about 7:30, and a very different morning, I'm in labor. Oh my God, it's happening. So Chad throws me in the wheelchair. He puts my Neverfull on the back of the wheelchair, and it's dragging, and I can hear it. And I'm like, ooh, like hurting so bad. And I'm thinking, oh my God, my bag is dragging. Like, I don't know what's worse. This is terrible. Minor, like not a big deal, but you know, little things that distract you and that you think about, I guess. So we go and check in, and they want to know my name, my social, my date of birth, our pediatrician, our OBGYN, all this information that they already have, which is so frustrating to give again when you're in the moment of giving birth and you want to actually scream. So our doula, Dawn, literally met us as we finally checked in and were wheeling down the hall to labor and delivery. So didn't tell us that she cut her hair. Not a huge deal, but she literally went from like hair down to her hips to like hair here. total like little Bob. So I'm mid contraction and I see her and I'm like, Dawn, you cut your hair. Like, not important. No one cares generally. I don't know, whatever. So we're racing down into the delivery room and we see our doctor, who was not supposed to be working, just got done with like working a crazy shift and ended up staying for us. Thank you so much, Dr. Schlansky. You're amazing. And she never left the room. This baby was like coming now. So we get in there and I immediately like collapse onto Dawn and I'm like, Dawn, thinking this is going to be a big reprieve. Meanwhile, I knew I wanted natural. Good thing I did because there probably was like no time for pain medication if I had wanted it. But natural birth was really, really important to me. Somehow God just made it happen that natural birth, you want it, you got it. It's what's happening right now. So they go to check me and see how dilated I am. By the way, I was on Monday 2 centimeters. So Wednesday morning, I think I'm in labor. But I still was in like disbelief. Like, I'm not in labor. Like, no way. I'm not having a baby right now. They go to check me and Dr. Schlansky, first of all, on her way out of checking me, breaks my water. Water everywhere. I'm like, oh my God, is it my water? Am I peeing? Like, what's happening? I don't know. Breaks my water and says, you are fully dilated. So I'd watched all these videos and thank you other women for posting them because they were so, so helpful in knowing what to expect. But these other ladies were like, yeah, so the second that I was told I could push, it was like magical. It was like the light at the end of the tunnel. I can push. It's happening. Here comes my baby. Doctor looks at me and she's like, so do you want to push? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know what that means. So I don't know how to push. She's like, well, whenever you want to push, you can push. And I'm like, oh, like I can push right now. Right now I can push. That means that I'm having a baby right now. Like, it's happening. So, we get going and I told her I wasn't ready to push. I didn't know. I honestly didn't even know how to get started with pushing. So I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. So and that was one of my things too. I didn't want to be told to push. I didn't want to forcefully push until I was ready. So I, on the direction of Dawn, just stayed really like focused, and the contractions were coming super, super close. They were so incredibly strong. I couldn't believe it. So another thing that was really important to me was not to be laboring or to give birth on my back. So we were in many different positions. I was squatting down. I was kind of in all fours on the hospital bed, more like leaning forward on it than on all fours, not like straight up on all fours. And I found that to be very, very comfortable. So I'm in that position and I'm pushing gently. You know, by pushing, I mean with every contraction, like bringing it down. Like, so I was very audible during this whole thing. I was never screaming. Like, I was never like, oh my God. But I would have a contraction. I'd be like, ah. And Dawn would be like, bring it lower. So I'd be like, ah. And she'd be like, bring it lower. And I'm like, ow. She's like, yeah, that's the stuff. More of that, more of that. So I'm like, ooh, like so low, crazy, crazy low. So the whole time I'm sounding like an Indian warrior. So it's like, oh, literally those are the sounds coming out of this labor and delivery room. People probably thought, what is going on in there? Well, I'm sure they hear this all the time. They knew what was happening. But it was very, very loud. I was very loud. I never cried. I whimpered one time, and I remember whimpering and kind of like, oh, this hurts so bad. And then thinking to myself, that was so pointless. That didn't do anything. That didn't bring the baby down. It didn't breathe the baby down. It was such a pointless little, and it distracted me. And I let my, like, you know, I don't know, whatever. It was, it sounds crazy to be like, oh, I shouldn't have whimpered, but you have a mission when you're in there, and I tried everything else that every other noise I made was really purposeful. Like every other breath was so like powerful and bringing it down to let myself get distracted. I was a little, surprised, but meanwhile, who cares? Like, you're having a baby, who cares? So before I know it, they're like, we can see her. And some women, thank you for your videos, they offer you the mirror. Like, we can see the head. Do you want to see the head? And so Chad goes around. Chad's like, oh my God, it's the head. And they offer you the mirror and they say, do you want to look? And I've heard not to take the mirror because when you look and you hear, we can see the head, you imagine the head, like the crown. By the way, my hair, freshly done. My hairstylist, Nikki, is amazing. You think like the crown of the head, like the whole head, But when you actually look, it's like a dime. And you're like, I'm screwed. I can't birth that. That's all. We've done all this work and that's what we have, a dime of a head. And you get so frustrated and so like discouraged that it makes it a little more frustrating and like not worth it. So I said, no thanks, I'm all set on seeing it. They're like, do you want to feel it? And I'm like, okay. So I reached down and there's like a little teeny tiny bit of hair. Weird. So like squishy and wet and weird. So we transitioned over to my back, and Dawn asked, she's like, Jenny Lee, do you want to go onto your back? And meanwhile, I'm like, I wish you said my name Jenny Lee because that's what my name is, but it's okay. And the banana, I'm so pissed. This whole time I'm like, like breathing, like, ooh, making my Indian sounds. Ew. I am having the worst like banana breath ever. And when you never eat anything except a banana on an empty stomach after brushing your teeth, it's disgusting. Like, not great. So I'm mad at myself that I only ate that half a banana and I'm stinking like banana breath. It's not gross. It's just like weird. And she's like, do you want to go on your back? And I'm like, we said no back. Like, what are we doing? Why am I going on my back? I don't want to give birth on my back. And she's like, listen, she's so calm and sweet. She's like, okay, so in the position that you're in, going on your back may really be very comfortable for you. So we might want to give it a shot. If it doesn't work, then we'll switch. And I found that switching positions was the most painful thing by far, like worst. So I'm in so much pain, getting halfway there, have a contraction, wait, getting halfway there, wait. Someone's like, do you want ice chips? I'm like, no, in middle of a contraction. And then afterward, I'm like, no, I wasn't like, no, I was like, no. And then after the contraction was done, I'm like, sorry, I meant to say no thank you. I don't want the ice chips. Like, oh my God, worse. And they're coming in like every 10 minutes to check your, I think like blood pressure. And I don't know. Honestly, I don't really remember, but they were checking something and it was really annoying. So yeah, go on my back and they're like, okay, whenever you're ready, it's time to push. Like, if you push right now, you're going to have a baby. Like, if you push 5 times right now, you will have a baby. Holy cow, is that crazy? If I push 5 times, I'm going to have a baby. And I'm like, oh, wait, I still don't know how to push. What is this? So I would just take a really deep breath. And with the contraction, I would just like breathe it down. And what would happen is the noise would sound like this. Ooh, lower, ooh. And then like something would happen and my face would be like, ah. And Don's like, that's the stuff, more of that. And I'm like, oh. I'm like doing it right now and it feels so weird. And they're like, that's it. More of that. And yeah, we did a few of those. And Dr. Schlansky did say, push. And I wasn't ready to push. And I pushed. And it was a waste of my energy. And it was, nothing happened. And I think she actually like went out and then even more came back in. So I wouldn't suggest that. I wouldn't suggest pushing if you're not totally ready to push. Every single push. So we would push and then be like, give me one more and a little bit more. And I'd be like, oh, only if I was ready. And those were the most purposeful, meaningful pushes in getting her out. Like just letting your body do the work. Letting your body's made to do this. Letting your body do the work. And I mean, literally, like, probably 10 pushes, and she came out. And she came out, and we didn't know what she was. So Chad was in shock, and he, like, I thought was going to collapse when she finally came out. He was so supportive the whole way along. Sorry, I didn't give him enough props here, but he was, helping me and talking to me and saying, "Come on, you got this, Jay," and "babe," and all the sweet, endearing terms. And one time he was like, "Go girl," and I was like, no. No, we're not saying go girl in here. But he was amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I couldn't have done it without him. Literally wouldn't have had a baby without him. But she came out, and she's out for like 2 minutes, immediately chest to chest, the whole nine. No washing her, none of that. And they're like, I'm like, "Chad, what is it?" He's like, "What do you mean, what is it?" I'm like, "What's the gender?" He's like, "Oh my God, I totally forgot." So we had thought the baby was going to be a boy. And he's not, because a doctor claimed it would be. We just like had all those feels. So Chad picks her up, and he's like looking between her legs, and everything's all swollen and kind of weird. And he's like, I don't see. He didn't see boy parts. He's like, I don't think it's not a boy. So he looks at the doctor. He's like, "It's a girl. It's a girl." And they're like, "Yeah, that's what a girl looks like." And he's like, "Oh my God, Jay, it's a girl. It's a girl. You got your little girl." I really wanted a girl. And oh my God, it was so cool. It's so cool. Like, we just had a baby, and it's a girl. And he was like, "It's a girl. We got a little girl." And he goes, "It's our little Liberty." So that's what we ended up naming her, Liberty. It was a name that kind of came into the mix. It was like when we first found out we were pregnant, we didn't know the gender. The name was kind of came into play. And then again, a few days before, oh my God, this hair, a few days before she came, we put it back into the mix. And oh my God, it's so amazing. I forgot to say, when I first went into labor, I showered and I shaved my legs and put on like a little bit of makeup, and like I didn't do my hair, I just like threw my hair up, but it was actually really like helpful and calming to take a shower and to do that. And I hear Libby downstairs, so I'm gonna start to wrap this up. But it was amazing. One thing I didn't expect was that I went into total like body shock after I had her. I couldn't stop shaking, like shaking uncontrollably. It was really, really crazy. I had no one had ever mentioned that before. Nothing was wrong. Like, everything was seamless, and we're so, so thankful. But I wasn't expecting like how incredibly shaky I was. I never tore, which is amazing. Libby was tiny. She was born 6'14". She was 20 inches. I guess she was posterior. I'm not exactly sure of that term, but the way she was laying, she came out like an 8-pound baby, whatever that means. But we did a lot of work leading up to the birth. I was in the gym like constantly, and not constantly, whatever, but like 4 times a week I was walking on a treadmill, just doing squats, trying to stay active. And I think that really was super, super important in my delivery and my recovery. But especially for tearing, we did, I always say this wrong, perineal massages. Pretty sure I'm saying that wrong, but Chad did them on me, and it was very, very helpful. And I'm probably pretty sure I mean, who the heck knows anything about this, but I think that's one of the reasons I didn't tear, was that my body was pretty prepared for it, which is amazing. And not a lot of guys will take the time to do that. So thank you, babe. And yeah, we had a whole list of like we didn't call it a birth plan, but it was our wishes, and medication free was one of them. Not to put a hat on the baby afterwards, so that they could regulate their own temperature. Thanks, Jordan, my amazing friend, and like mama, everything. And to have the dad declare the sex, have the dad cut the cord, delayed cord clamping. We also did cord blood storage, cord blood storage, cord blood registry. So there was like a balance the doctors had to do when they were, deciding when to cut the cord. Like we wanted them to delay, but they also had a timeline for the blood storage, and we wanted, I forget what else. I don't know, a bunch of stuff. We had like a playlist with like 70 songs on it. By the way, we brought a Bose speaker to the hospital, and we played our labor playlist that we never got to hear during labor, which I was so amped about. We played it in the next couple days, like as we were in, recovery, and it was amazing. It was really, really cool. It changed the whole mood of the hospital to have the soundtrack playing, and it really made those first couple days special. And on that playlist was a lot of the songs from, when we were dating, and like just really cool, nice music. I also had like some girl talk tracks on there, so whenever we were like sleeping in the middle of the night and those came on, it was funny. But yeah, it was amazing. And if you are trying to have a natural birth, you can totally do it. The pain was, I don't know, I didn't think I had a strong pain tolerance, but I did it. And I kept expecting the pain to get worse. The whole time I was thinking, the pain's going to get worse. The pain's going to get worse. This isn't it. There was a second we were in there, and I was like, holy cow, Jenna Lee, what did you do? You totally underestimated the power of this pain, and you're in over your head. And what were you thinking? You should have done the epidural. Like, you should have planned this differently. But I could handle it, and I handled it. And people have done this for so many years, had babies, and animals do it, and you can do it. If you're trying to do it, you can do it. If you're trying to do it and something happens and you can't, for a medical reason, you need to switch up the plan, you're switching up the plan. Like, it's totally, totally cool. The most important thing is a healthy birth, and no matter how that is accomplished is great. But if you are trying to do it naturally, you can do it. I promise. It was not the worst thing in the world. It's amazing. And what they say about like the pain going away, I literally had no pain afterward. Like, oh, you're going to have to pee afterward. Like, they make you pee or you will get a catheter. I sat there for like a half hour. I think it felt like a half hour. I think it was more like 10, 15 minutes, but I was like, you are not leaving this bathroom until you pee. Pee. I was like running the water. I was like kind of touching down there, like, just making it happen. I'm like, you're gonna pee. Not like a creep, but and you can do it. You can totally, totally do it. It's amazing. I am in awe that we have our beautiful 3-month-old baby, Liberty, and we call her Libby, and she's the sweetest thing in the world. She's so cute, and I'm so thankful for, our network of friends and family, and our amazing au pair that we have, who help enrich her day enrich her life every single day. It's amazing. It's like making me emotional. But yeah, that is our birth story. Oh, so it was like 3 hours, like, total. I don't know how it happened, but it did. And don't, prepare for a long labor, but don't be surprised, I guess, if it doesn't end up being like that. Everyone's story is different. Everyone's baby's different. Everyone's birth is different. And mine happened to be like super fast. So good luck to all you mamas. I hope that this helps. I hope it sheds some light. And I'll show you some pictures and a little video of when I was going into labor, and our wishes, if you will. Thank you. Bye. Hi. It's like 5 in the morning, my favorite time. And I've just started having very close contractions. They woke me up about like 3 something, and they were about 30 to 45 minutes apart. I went back to sleep for some of them, And then thanks babe. And then we woke up, I woke Chad up for good around 4. And we timed we timed the contractions for an hour, and now they're about 5 to 7 minutes apart. I called our doula, and she said if they keep this timing, everything's okay, and we'll just check in like an hour or 2. So I took a shower, I shaved my legs, and yeah, I think we're starting today. It's the 28th, and it's 5:17 a.m. and Max is excited, and